Hey everybody, this is the Sliders Review, and I'm here today to talk to you about Doomsday, the 2008 movie. I remember years ago, I saw this on TV, but I didn't see the first half of the movie, the first well, not really the first half, the first 30 minutes. I only saw somewhere towards the middle. And I thought it was like this sci-fi, futuristic, medieval, Mad Max looking thing. And I just thought it was weird and bizarre. But it starred that Rona Mitra, and I'm a fan of hers, and I like hers. I'm like, oh, okay, she's trying to get into the action role. But with this movie, I had no idea this movie, and I didn't even finish the movie, but I had no idea this movie, was all about like a super virus that took out, Scotland and stuff. That's the first 30 minutes. And so this was created, written, and directed by Neil Marshall. And basically, he wanted a futuristic, medieval type movie. Well, he got it. And it cost a lot of money and it bombed at the box office. This movie is weird and bizarre. It's literally two completely different movies crammed into one. Now, that's never a bad thing, but when you have something so wildly different like this, maybe you need somebody to tug on your chain and pull you back. Because this movie just didn't work for a lot of people. It certainly didn't work for me. I believe if they were to separate these two movies and make them their own, then that would have been fine. Because the movie has great acting, great CGI. I swear to God, every time they shoot and blow something up, it looks so real. The characters are really interesting and cool, but it's just the plot. It's just there's two completely different plots. And they really contrast with each other and they just don't meld well together. And because of that, it just feels like a weird movie it just feels like a weird movie, man. They really should like separated these two movies and stuff. Now there is plenty of blood and gore and stuff like that. Things getting ripped to shreds by like machine guns and stuff. Sometimes it gets a little too gory. Like people, well, you see like my like getting burnt alive. They're cutting the flesh off the body. They're eating it, all kind of crap. It's a bit too much, and they didn't always have to show that, but whatever. But like the first 30 minutes I loved, right? But it was right then and there they go into the quarantine zone and get captured. That's when I just lost all interest in this movie. And I mean, I lost all interest in this movie once you get to like that part. Because like I watched it years ago on TV, like I said. And so but I only saw the middle and part of the movie. But then I decided to rewatch it on Tubi because it's about to leave in a few days. And so I got so irritated by like the middle part and towards the end that I turned it off and I watched Cult of Chucky or Curse of Chucky. I forget which one. It's the one when we first meet Nika and everything. Anyway. So basically it's like this. The first 30 minutes it's set back in like 2008 or something like that. And there's a super virus out. Here's one problem with this movie. There's no character development, really. There's no real good progression. You don't, like, what you see is what you get out of these characters. And it's very one note. And that's very irritating because you need your characters to evolve and develop and stuff, not just a twist where one of them's evil to begin with and, want the profit off the virus and stuff. So you need a good character and good character development to help push and drive your movie. When your characters are one note, then you just have to watch it for whatever it is. And then when it's not that good, then you just kind of like, ugh, you know what I'm saying? And then there, of course, is the virus. It's never told like how it's made, what exactly it does other than killing you. But you see that it puts all these bumps and lumps and boils on your body, and that's about it. And I guess if the blood gets, like, if the affected ooze or blood, whatever gets on a person, it can affect them too. So basically, the first 30 minutes is set back in 2008, and there's this viral outbreak in Scotland, and they're trying to contain it, but they cannot. And so when one man is infected who just shows up all bumpy and everything, of course the military shoots the crap out of him. Well, the bullets go everywhere and some innocent people get shot. This is when the people turn on the military and they beat up the military. So the military trying to hightail it on out of there. One little girl gets hit in the eye with like shrapnel or something like that. And her mother is trying to, like, save her. So we see a helicopter with some military soldiers, and the mom is able to make it towards them as the rest of the townspeople is trying to get the military. The military is just like leaving people there. So it's kind of like the first couple of minutes of Resident Evil Apocalypse, where the military is just like, okay, we can't contain it, just leave people here, like just shoot the crap out of people and stuff like that. There's always that extreme super virus type thing. Thank God it's not like that in real life. And so, like, the mom is able to convince one of the soldiers to give up his spot on the helicopter to take her child. After that, about 30 years pass later, and we see a woman all grown up who's missing an eye. This is the little girl. She is now Major Sinclair, Eden Sinclair. And so she has a robotic eye. Her robotic eye can, like, see things. It can move around, and then she puts it back in her eye. Basically, she's like some type of like enforcer, cop, military type person. And so, like, they're in London. And at some point in time, the virus has now spread to London after all these years. They've kept like this giant metal wall over Scotland to like close off the entire country. And so nobody can get in or out. And they put these machine guns on like the wall. So if anybody tries to move in either direction, they get shot. And so, like, because of this, the government and everything wants to send in a team to find this one scientist who was there looking for a cure, because with surveillance have found out that, like, there are people surviving there, so they think, oh, it must be a cure, right? Well, here's the thing that's the problem with this movie. If they assume there's a cure in Scotland, then the people would have tried to negotiate with the people in London and tell them, like, yo, man, the virus is gone and this and that and blah, 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 and let us out. So they don't think that way. So naturally, what it is immunity. They didn't think about that there are people immune inside, like, the wall. But here's the thing: if the virus spread to London and these people had a cure, then the virus would have been gone by now, something like that. Anyway, it's just them not thinking. So they send in a team with that of Sinclair. Now, Sinclair wanted to go inside to begin with to find her mother, who, gave her up and everything. But she has no real way of, like, finding her. So that's her motivation, you assume, for the rest of the movie, right? Well, it's not so much like that. Oh, Bob Hoskins is in this movie. May he rest in peace. And so also the dude who played the doctor in Deep Space Nine is the prime minister. Anyway, so they send the team in, and the team is going to this whole futuristic Mad Max type thing. And so their quarantine suits are nothing but battle suits. And it's just weird. It's like these black armor suits with like silver, like metal plating, armor plating and stuff like that. And they have to keep their helmets on and all that. So they drive in with their tanks and stuff, and they're looking for survivors. Well, the survivors, who are all now dressed in like black clothing. They have mohawks, different colored mohawks, tattoos, piercings, earrings, like all kind of weird, like, medieval, futuristic, Hercules and Xena type clothes. And it's just kind of like, wait, what the heck is going on? Well, these are marauders. There's two types of people, marauders and knights. Why is everybody dressed like this 30 years later? It makes no sense. Okay, but anyway, they attack the military people, and Sinclair gets separated from like two of her men that are still alive. Everybody else is dead. The person named Soul, he takes her to like, his dungeon, and he's gonna cook her and the rest of the cops, that they one dude that they have, and feed it to the people. Now, like I said, the first 30 minutes is great. They would have kept it going into the quarantine zone, and there's infected people, and there are like infected people trying to, like, I don't know, take them out, kind of like zombies. That would have been fine. But of course, Resident Evil came out, and they're all like, oh, we probably can't do that. And so, like, that part would have been fine. They would have kept it to that movie. Now, here comes the second part of the movie, where it's all this Mad Max, weird, like, Road Warrior type crap. This would have been fine if this would have been the beginning of the movie, and we would have seen a future where a virus took out humanity, and all the survivors are all kind of like rebels and all like, hey, let's just do whatever we want. And they act wild and crazy. Because when you see them acting wild and crazy in the dance in the arena, it looks really cool. But it doesn't fit with the first 30 minutes of the movie. So basically, she fights her way out of there. She frees like a prisoner. And then she finds the rest of her people, and they make it on foot to a train. And so one of the people get taken out. Well, it turns out the woman she rescued is the daughter of, like, that scientist Kane, Dr. Kane, played by Malcolm McDowell. And so, like, I think it's McDowell, yeah, Malcolm McDowell. And so, like, she is the daughter of him. Turns out the guy Soul, who the leader of like the Marauders, that's his son and that's her brother. So it's this big family feud, and they can't get along with each other. Basically, her father lives in like a castle of all things, and he has a bunch of knights around him. Also, her doctor scientist father, he's not a good man either, and basically he doesn't want no outsiders there. And so he tells Sinclair and everything like, yo, there's no cure, just immunity. So she wants to take some people back so they can make a cure. But he don't want that, and he sentenced them to death. After they escape, they find like a GTO or whatever, and they drive off only to find Soul's people. So they end up killing him and everything. And then when they get back to the walls, they call this one dude who's high ranking in the government. But we don't know exactly what his rank is or whatever. Canaris or something like that. He turns out to be corrupt. He takes Sinclair and the daughter girl, and he wants the virus to spread all around the world so he can make a profit off the cure and everything. So he's corrupt and all this other crap. So that's the big twist. He's the only one with some real character development. So anyways, all this time I'm thinking to myself, okay, she wants to find her mom, right? Oh, okay, now she's trying to find her mom and everything. Turns out her mom died years ago. And so there's a recording with the corrupt dude. She gives it to her handler dude so he can expose them and all this and that. And then all of a sudden, Sinclair heads back to the Marauders with the head of Sal, and she declares herself the new leader of the Marauders. And I'm just kind of like, what the heck is this movie about? This movie is just so bizarre and so weird. It's like, literally, the dude who created this, like, Neil had an interesting idea. It's just he should have made two completely different movies. Meshing these two together just don't always work. This ain't the 80s no more. This type of like movies are just never gonna like fit and meld well in the early 2000s. And it bombed bad and everything. And it's one of those things that where when you first watching it, like, it depends on what you like. Because like I said, both halves of the movie are fine. They're just not fine together. And so it's just a very odd, weird, and bizarre type thing. But thank God it did not hurt, like, Rona's career, because she was still acting after that. And, because when movies bomb like this, normally it hurts people's careers. Like, Neil has still gone on to do things. He made Hellboy and stuff, the first one. But like, he's mostly done like TV director roles and, stuff like that. Sometimes it's not great to let your director have their vision play out on screen. Because sometimes their vision is a little too bonkers and a little too out there. That's when you need studio interference to come in and pull that chain. And then sometimes the studio interference can ruin a movie and you need to let a director do things, but you need a director who actually knows what the heck they are doing and gonna make sure they make a movie that is going to make absolute sense. Cause this movie don't make no sense. Alrighty, well, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.